The Host is considered one of the worst movies of 2013 and one of the worst failures of the young adult book to movie dystopian franchise of the 2010s. It's for many reasons. One of them, which being, it was written by Stephanie Meyer. Yes, I researched the author this time. That was like a hot topic with my Coraline video, and I was like, well, dang. I learned and I researched this time. If you guys don't know Stephanie Meyer, she is well known for writing Twilight. If you don't know what Twilight is, I can't help you there. You should know what that is. The prereq for watching my channel, you have to watch Twilight, unfortunately. Stephanie Meyer is also well known for having themes of misogyny, racism, and glorifying of abusive relationships in most of her books that was heavily targeted towards teens and kids at that. She has faced a lot of scrutiny because of that. As well as plagiarism. So she's kind of hit like every bad thing an author could do. Pretty much. So The Host came after Twilight. A lot of people think The Host was just a really boring and lame attempt to replicate the Twilight franchise. A lot of the complaints that I saw were it was just boring, it wasn't well thought out. In terms of the story, even recent reviews are saying that the book handled the topics better, which I would heavily disagree with that. When you look closer at the story, it is more of a horror than it is a romance. It's a very terrifying presentation of gaslighting. It has a really big issue with consent. So we are going to talk about The Host and why this movie is a whole lot darker than what it presents itself to be. Okay. In order to properly analyze this movie, we are going to discuss topics of SA, abusive relationships, and racism. If any of these topics are sensitive for you guys, protect your heart and your mind, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so if you don't know what The Host is, the basic premise is based in a future where aliens have invaded Earth. They're like little cotton ball looking things, and they're basically parasites of like body snatch people, essentially. A way to know if a human has been taken over by an alien is they'll have like a bluish white ring inside of their eye. The aliens have succeeded at an alarming rate to which the human race is almost extinct at this point. That's where we meet our main character, Mel, who is traditionally a malnourished teenager with the responsibility of taking care of everyone without any parents around. She eventually gets caught by the aliens and has one put inside of her mind. The alien's name is Wanderer. She goes by Wanda for short. This begins an unlikely friendship between Mel and the alien that is occupying and invading her body. You can probably already tell from here why I'm having issues with this story. But before we even get to that, there is a character in this story that single-handedly has so many issues aside from the plot problems. He is going to have his own section, and that is Jared. Jared is the love interest of Mel. He's her boyfriend. During a flashback, we learn how they meet. Mel was foraging at like an abandoned house for resources, and then Jared pins her pretty much. He's like, oh my gosh, like you're a real human, because he's just overcome with the joy that he is with another human being. He decides to force himself on her and force a kiss on her. She rightfully headbutts him and runs away. It was so freaky. He chased her down. This was so creepy. And the movie phrases him just being passionate. He's so lonely. He was just afraid of the aliens. It's so romantic. They found each other. No, it's not. This is scary. He chased her down. He's a predator. And he really is a predator. Apparently in the story, they don't say this in the movie, he's like in his mid-20s and she's 17. Yeah, he's a predator, like real bad. There's a really uncomfortable theme of violence with this guy, obviously from when they first meet. Later in the movie, when Wanda is occupying Mel's body, they end up going back to the human society that's like kind of hidden away. Everyone in the human society knows like, oh my gosh, Mel was taken away. They weren't fully sure how much of Mel was left over. There was this huge debate on whether they should keep Wanda Wanda around for the sake of hopefully saving Mel in the future, or if Mel is 100% gone and they need to get rid of her. There's a lot of suspicion, people who hate the fact that she's there. It obviously makes sense. They are jeopardizing their safety of the last remaining people on Earth. Obviously, that's high stake. But the second she walks up to Jared, he fully slaps her as hard as he can across her damn face. I was like, that's unnecessary, because this is supposed to be the woman that you love. This is supposed to be your partner. I know her body has been like taken over by an alien. It's scary. I try to think of it as like a zombie dynamic. Obviously, you have to do what you gotta do. If like your partner's turned into a zombie, you would still like hesitate even a little bit, right? But he had no hesitation. He didn't even think twice. That's so bad. Then later, everyone's still trying to figure out if Mel is still there or not. To find out, he decides to remind her of the old times and forces himself on her again, all in the name of like, I know she'll get mad and she'll want to come forward. That is so absolutely terrible. It's pretty scary. Even Wanda turns to Mel and she's like, I'm a little scared of this guy. Even the alien's like, oh, this guy's kind of weird. He has like this really weird possessive thing too over her body. Oh, it freaks me out. When he went to go kiss Wanda, he's like, well, you know, you're not her, but you're still her body, so I guess I can do this. Ooh, so bad. And I'll bring this up later, but kind of a weird love triangle or like quadruple thing going on. There's a guy named Ian. Wanda likes him. It's just like weird thing going on, because we all know that like Wanda is inside of Mel's body, so it's just getting complicated. It's just weird. But he uses really possessive language towards Ian, and he's like, you know, keep your hands off of her. Like, it's just odd. My issue with him is this is seen and phrased as him being passionate, intense. That's so bad to send a message to, because this is not him being passionate. It's him being controlling and intimidating. So yeah, no. I barely even mentioned the plot problems with this. Like, he didn't need the plot to be a terrible person. He did that all on his own. He was like that before Wanda even got in the mix. Yeah, I hate him really bad. And yet another odd predatory dynamic that Mel has to endure in this movie is with Wanda. As I mentioned, Wanda is the alien that is taking over her body currently throughout most of the movie. They start off pretty bad. I'll give it to him for that. Wanda and Mel are not friends. Mel is very intentionally telling Wanda, I don't like you. You are not good. What you did to me is terrible. So kudos for that. But that's all that this movie is getting, because it completely beelines in like the worst way possible. So Mel and Wanda don't really favor each other. They've grown like a weird empathy for each other, and that's when Wanda decides to help bring her back to her family in like really weird twisted way. It's very sudden in the movie where they become really close friends. They rely on each other. People say that the book is better because the book has developed their relationship and their friendship in a more like slower pace. Trust was established in a better way, but there's one tiny issue with that. Wanda is inside of Mel's skin and walking around in her body. They should not be friends in any way, shape, or form. I don't think there's any way to twist it. They should never be friends. The premise of the story itself automatically puts Wanda in a position of power over Mel. She is literally inside her body controlling it. On top of that, she's a part of a highly intelligent, more advanced alien race compared to the human society. They have nearly eradicated humans as a species. So yeah, before we even meet Wanda, she has more power over Mel. There is not a healthy dynamic where they could be friends. There is no equal power in here. In the movie, it keeps playing that. It's like, well, they both need to learn how to trust each other. This is difficult for both of them. No, it's not. Wanda abandoned her society or whatever because she found empathy for one of the many bodies that she has hosted in before. The movie glazes over the fact that Wanda has been in many bodies before and didn't seem to have a problem with it then. For some reason, she's had a change of heart, and that's whatever. Wanda is not exempt from the terrible things that her alien society has done and inflicted on the human race at this point, even though the movie is trying really hard to do that. For some reason. Mel does not owe Wanda anything because Wanda's choosing to have basic bare minimum morals at this moment. But that's how it's phrased. Mel lies to Wanda a few times, and Wanda's like, why do you lie? Why do you humans lie? I'm helping you. And I'm like, so? It's so convoluted. Like, yeah, I'm taking over your body, but look at how nice I'm being to you. You see what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And the movie pushes this even harder when Ian is brought into the mix. They're trying to say, like, Wanda has her own desires aside from Mel. Like, yeah, she's inside of Mel's body, but she wants to be with Ian. What's so wrong with that? Everything is wrong with that because it implies that she's entitled to Mel's body to pursue these dreams of hers. There was even one point where Mel got mad that Wanda kissed Jared and Ian. She was mad at both. Wanda was like, so you get mad if I kiss the guy that you love, and then you get mad if I kiss the guy that you don't. Saying like Mel is just so hard to please. Yeah, she shouldn't be pleased with this situation at all. You are inside of her body. Oh my gosh. The only thing she wants Wanda to do with her body is to get out of it. Rightfully so. So Mel pieces out, tired of the gaslighting, and she ends up not responding to Wanda anymore inside of her head. So Wanda can bring her back. I think this is like supposed to be the turning point when she's, oh, I actually need her. I actually love her. Bring her back. Wanda decides to kiss both of the boys again, violating Mel's boundaries again. And I will mention Mel's boundaries to Wanda have been very, very clear this whole time. The amount of times that she said no, it hurt my heart. I feel like the gravity of that no was not taken as seriously as it should in the movie. If anything, it was used against her. It was how they were trying to bring her back. They continue to do things that she said no to in order to get something out of her or whatever other means. It's terrible. So they do all of this. They do all of this to Mel, yet the movie continues to phrase her as being difficult. You know, she's not letting Wanda live her life. Why should she? I will mind you, Wanda has also started to gain the trust of the humans. Everyone is suddenly loving Wanda. They all have relationships with her. In addition with Mel, when she comes back, she's like, I love you, I miss you. And it's just, I don't know when this change happened. Apparently in the book, it's more gradual, but it still stands. Like, this shouldn't be happening at all. By empathizing and putting yourself in the position of the perpetrator, which is Wanda in this situation, you are minimizing the effect that their actions have caused on the victim. The movie is phrased around Wanda and how hard she worked. Oh my gosh, poor Wanda. What about Mel? I don't think the gravity of the body snatching aspect of the aliens is taken in as much as it should, especially how bad it's affecting Mel. Just the concept of the whole thing. So one of the main antagonists is the Seeker. She's not actually the antagonist though. The way that the movie handles it's so bad. She's not even the slightest bit intimidating. If anything, they make the humans seem more like the antagonists in the movie. They end up freeing the Seeker from the body that she's occupying, and the woman that wakes up is named Lacey. She says how traumatizing that was and how she has been screaming in her own head for years. And you could only imagine all the things that she has witnessed her own body doing without her own will. Yeah, that's torture, basically. That's traumatizing. That's a terrible thing to do to a person. It irritated the crap out of me when Lacey woke up and she turned to Wanda and she was like, you're one of the good ones. Thank you so much. You can't say that when she's actively inside someone's body. They're saying like, oh, you're wanting to help us now. Why didn't she have a change of heart in the many people, the many bodies that she occupied previously, glazing over the fact that she has participated, was willingly fine with the things that her society was doing up until she met Mel. And they're saying because Mel was so special and that was the reason why she had a change of heart. That doesn't make it any better. And that makes it worse, actually, that it took her meeting someone that she liked to have basic morals. And this empathy is even extended out the whole alien race, where it is found out the humans have been experimenting on bodies that have been taken over by hosts and trying to find a way to extract them, unintentionally killing both parties involved. So they have a few people that they've done this with. Wanda finds out and she's like tearing into them. You guys are terrible for what you've done. But it's not acknowledged that what they're doing, obviously it's terrible at face value, but they're being put in this position because of the things that her people have done. You're forgetting the fact that you've nearly wiped out the human race. I don't think that's a good ratio there. 4 people versus billions. I don't think the math is right on that, you know? And Wanda eventually shows them how to properly extract an alien, and they can sense that you hate them. You can sense that you think they're the enemy. You need to coax them out by showing them that you love them. Why would we need to do that? Why are the aliens owed so much grace and gentleness when what they have been doing is quite the opposite of gentle? They have been very violent in their acts against humans up until this point, but the movie phrases it as because they have a gentle, pretty voice and they're so calm, and they're saying that they're trying to do what's best for the human race. They're literally gaslighting the human characters as well as the audience into thinking the alien species are kind and gentle beings. Look at the contrast between the aliens and the humans. The humans are so aggressive. It's neglecting the fact that the humans are resorting to this because they were put in this position. They are put in a position where they need to survive. They need to find a way to separate the aliens from the bodies of the humans in order to bring the human race back. It is not them simply being aggressive for the sake of it. That's what y'all are doing. That's what the aliens are doing. It's almost as if, since the humans are being so cold towards Wanda, it places them as the antagonist and Wanda as the one who is a victim in this situation. She's the one that is seeing her people getting ripped out of the humans through that weird surgical thing. She's the one that's being ostracized by choosing to help a human for once. I don't think it should be forgotten the position that Wanda is in. It's doing a really good job at minimizing the impact of Wanda and what she has contributed to. They make her seem so powerless, but she is the most powerful person in the room right now. She has the ability to walk outside and immediately will be helped by her own people. They're phrasing her as because she's not doing that, because she's willing to help them, she needs to have sympathy. She shouldn't. That was her choice. It remains that what she did was not right. You're not going to get a cookie for doing a basic human decency thing. This is a narrative I see a lot, and it absolutely drives me crazy. To me, it's an entitlement. It's entitlement to have your perspective be understood after doing something terrible to somebody. It gets rid of the whole taking accountability for what you did thing. And I think that's done intentionally. People who have more power in these situations, no. They are essentially distracting you. You're being distracted from the actual goal here, which is making right what was done wrong. And I don't think giving the floor to the person who did the wrong thing is going to make that right. I think it's correcting what happened and providing support for the victim. But by giving the perpetrator all of the attention, it's completely getting rid of any support for the victim. And that's why I think it's done intentionally. Now, this is different from a mutual, respectful, healthy relationship. That is not what I'm referring to in this dynamic. In a healthy relationship, I think people should have a general understanding and respect for each other through disagreements or through situations where they hurt each other unintentionally and need to talk it out. But when I'm talking about a dynamic where there is an abuse of power or in an abusive relationship, this is what I'm talking about, where these rules don't apply. These rules don't apply when there is a power imbalance. And that's exactly what I see with Wanda and Mel. Another glaring and scary message that is being shown in this movie is the representation of the pure, innocent alien. I have already mentioned this multiple times. I have a further reason as to why this is a problem, because this is a separate narrative that is not just bad storytelling, but it's harmful messaging. The movie uses multiple representations for the aliens, having them dressed in all white, really clean and sleek, monochrome. Even the way that they talk, it's very controlled and gentle, measured. I think this is a subtle narrative shift that is being used in the story, especially by Stephenie Meyer. This is very Stephenie Meyer coded, by the way. The representation of the white measured characters are seen as higher than all of these things. It's masking the true impact of what the aliens have done. Apparently in the book, they do make the aliens more intimidating and scary, so I would love to hear anyone's thoughts on this that have read the book in more depth, but I still find it interesting in their choice of styling and representing them in the movie in particular. They also phrase themselves this way. They're like, we don't lie, like as if they don't have the ability to lie or something like that. Towards the end, they kind of phrased it as like, oh, the Seeker was the driving force of this invasion. We didn't want to do it. She's not like the rest of us. But that doesn't match up to the annihilation of billions of people. That can't be done by an individual person. That is a collective effort done consistently and violently. Just because they are presented that way doesn't mean that they aren't violent. You can be stealing someone's purse and be like, sorry, you're still stealing someone's purse. And the reason why I say this is harmful messaging is because this reflects very real world narratives that are used. This is seen in the way of Western white supremacy, where there is a appearance of purity, professionalism being buttoned up, and it masks the centuries of consistent intentional violence. This use of pure imagery is used to gain public empathy while demonizing the very groups that have been directly harmed by white supremacy. This has been a constant theme in our history, but especially now with what's going on with ICE, where brown and black immigrants and communities are still directly being targeted because they are deemed suspicious, ill-intended, or dangerous, while groups that have historically enacted consistent centuries of violence are being empowered right now and seen as more trustworthy simply because of the way that they present themselves and follow white Western standards. According to the Department of Homeland Security, as of the past decade, the white supremacy and far-right extremist group has been one of the top threats of domestic terrorism in America, and it has been on the rise since 2020. I will put in the description below where I got this information, and yes, it is directly from the DHS government website, so have a look if you'd like. So it is especially telling to see that even with the rise of white supremacy violence, there is a turn or a targeting of brown and black communities still, because they don't appear in the way that white Western standards would prefer. And the contrast is the way that a lot of white supremacy groups present themselves as being, innocent and pure and having good intentions. I know this topic deserves a whole video on its own. It deserves 5 videos on its own. So this is the shortest way that I could put this. I had to point it out whenever I see things like this, especially with the rise of white supremacy extremism and the targeting of black and brown people and the rise of ICE, all of these things that are going on. It's really easy to dismiss them, but it is on the rise, and I think it's important for us to at least point it out when we see it. Obviously, it's overwhelming to think about having to change everything, but I think the first step is to recognize that it's there. And this circles back to this message that is shown in the host as well. The way that the aliens are represented as pure and gentle and kind, and they're very put together, it does a really good job at grazing over all of the terrible things that they have done, while making the humans' attempts to protect themselves seem as violent and aggressive for the humans to retaliate against. The movie is very subtle in this kind of messaging, and this is not the only one of its kind. There are plenty of movies that have this same exact messaging, and it's almost so subtle that it's just conditioning you to accept that this is how things go in a way that it's really hard to catch. Even me rewatching it, it was really hard for me to stay on track because of how much this message was powering through. These are really important things to point out in the media that we watch. With the rise rise of media. Everyone is watching hundreds of hours a day. The importance of storytelling and narrative, things that we watch online, are being underestimated in how they're influencing us and influencing narratives that are being seen in the real world today. If we continue to underestimate the media that we watch, like the host, without a critical eye, we are subtly being trained to accept the patterns that are being shown to us. And in this case, the pattern is to value politeness and presentation over justice. This is why I want to point these things out. That's why this movie is genuinely scary to me. There are more like this. This isn't the only one of its kind, and I'm going to continue to point it out when I see it, so more and more people can stop consuming these messages passively and start pointing them out where they need to be pointed out, holding the author accountable. It's super cool to see like Stephenie Meyer is being held accountable, albeit many years later. It is good that even people who are fans of her are able to see the way that she wrote this. It's not just bad writing, it's harmful messaging, holding the people who spread harmful messages accountable. By trying to exempt movies or media from having responsible messaging, it's really harmful. I don't know how else to say it. It's just not given as much weight as it should. So that's kind of why I made this channel. This is the end of my, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this video, comment. I want to know anyone else's perspectives on this. I love opening up these kinds of conversations, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!